Hey everyone, it's Cody. Just wanted to pop in here real quick before we get started with the show. We are obviously a Twilight podcast. While we love the things that we talk about and we love the show that we do and try to be fun, we are also not afraid to be critical of the source material and especially of the harmful implications, especially in terms of Native representation. So we wanted to kind of spotlight the Quileute tribe's fundraiser that they're doing right now. They're raising money to help their schools in their area for flooding due to like severe climate change. We also donated the price of basically a couple of Midnight Sun books. If we influence you buying a copy and supporting Stephanie directly, there's obviously no shame in that because that is kind of our whole business. But if you have the money to spare and you want to send a couple bucks to the Quileute tribe, we would really appreciate it, and that stuff will also be in the description of this episode. So thank you and enjoy the show.
Now tuning in to Earbud Media. Audio for everyone.
The amount of energy that is flowing through my body right now is sad.
It's honestly a bit scary.
And it makes me too powerful, some might say.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I am afraid.
If half of my side was not more, like, fucked up right now more than usual, I feel like I would have immense power. Like, I could throw a tree right now. And now I can't, but in my mind I can.
Right, in my mind's eye.
It's so fucked up. Anyways, welcome to Into the Twilight.
Welcome.
And
we're back to Twilight.
I know, what the fuck? Like, literally it's been 3 years.
So...
We're back to our roots, first of all.
Yes.
We're
home.
Yes. Yep. Finally, Stephanie Meyer brought us in, because if she was cold, we're cold. There's so much to talk about today, but first of all, Cody, how the hell are you doing?
The energy is weird, I will say.
I agree.
It's an interesting space, but I feel like we're right where we need to be. I'm excited. I will say my happy thing this week is there's a raccoon on Twitter who finger paints.
Sure.
And that's it. And it's just really, I'm gonna prop an image up in their doc because it's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just need you to appreciate this.
I'm on the edge of my seat. It seems like, from what you are describing, that Twitter got jealous of Frog TikTok.
Yes.
And they were like, we need to bring our monster. Oh my god!
Like, the pure serotonin on his face in number 3, like, how can I get there? You know, like, how do I do that? How do I feel that?
I'm like...
See, I heard you doubt me when I brought this up, but hear the joy in your heart right now.
Why am I literally crying? What the fuck?
It is incredibly wholesome, and I am obsessed with it.
This raccoon is holding its painting and is smiling, and I didn't know that raccoons could smile.
Yeah, it's really, you can tell it's proud, you know, of what it's done. It's got a tiny little easel. It's so cute.
One day I would like to be as proud of something.
Right, seriously. This is me just, like, showing my parents my, like, shitty art that's on the fridge, being like, look, I did, look at this.
The macaroni noodles are already falling off because we used silver glue.
Yeah. It's like,
oh my god.
I did a thing.
Can I get prints of this? I've never felt so, like, immediately happy in my whole life. And I'm kind of unused to it. Like, it feels unfamiliar. Anyways, thank you for bringing that to the space.
Of course. How are you doing, my dude?
Well, I'm so glad that you asked. I just found a macaroni noodle in my bra. But other than
how
that,
on brand.
I know. I feel like I'm going to explode at any minute. Like,
right.
it's been quite some time, I'll say that, since I've had such magnificent lows and highs happening at the same time. Like,
sure,
on one end, I'm incredibly excited that we have new Twilight content to talk about.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I feel like in anticipation for that, my body fell apart. Which,
right.
And if y'all have been listening for a while, or if you caught up, you might remember that this usually happens. Like, I have mentioned before that I am not great at just, like, existing in this world. I'm quite clumsy. Y'all might remember when I fell on ice a couple of years ago.
Allie's spiritually cursed to just have a fucked up body forever.
Yeah, my shoulder, I don't know what I did. I'm just, like, too strong, too powerful. Needed to be brought down karmically. So that's where I'm at. But I feel like I'm going to burst. I'm so excited to have new content to talk about with Stephanie. It's hard to put it into words how frustrated I am with her, while at the same time, like, am tied to her in this awful way that
spiritually
we are.
bound. Yeah. Yeah.
So we have our current events to talk about today, and then we have quite a few questions, so I appreciate you all bringing those into the space. The first thing that we need to talk about is yesterday. As of us recording this, Midnight Sun is out, which means that the Midnight Sun playlist...
She's live.
...is out, and it's here, and I should know better by now. I should know better by now than to assume that it would be good. I don't know. Like,
right. Listen, I will defend Map of the Problematique and nothing else on this playlist.
I think
maybe fair. 9 Inch Nails. Maybe 9 Inch Nails too. But that's... Everything else is very typical emo heartthrob, Stephenie Meyer flair.
It just... Her nerve.
Yeah.
The nerve that this woman has, and, like, God forbid Spotify's algorithm when they see this woman. Like, I can't imagine what her daily mixes look like. Because this playlist, and we'll get into it a little bit further on, but just, like, for context as we're describing this, the first 2 chapters, we got some 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah.
We got the classic Debussy.
Debussy.
And then, like, it just makes me so angry. Like, how dare you? How dare you put one of these compositions on here that's 12 minutes long?
Yeah.
Ma'am?
Hello?
And these don't even feel like they're actually set up, like, per chapter.
No.
Or chronologically in this book. It's more like...
There's no flow here.
There is no flow.
There's no flow.
And as someone who I imagine most of us were like this, who carefully curated mix CDs and burned them for my friends, and the order of that was crucial. Mm-hmm. To see this is just a slap in the face. Like, how dare you? How dare you follow up Claire de Lune with a Linkin Park song? That's
like the whiplash, the utter whiplash you would get if you just listen to this all the way through.
Yeah.
Insane.
Also,
can we talk about the fact that this Motion City soundtrack song is a new song?
Quote-unquote new song.
Quote-unquote new song. Because it was originally for Twilight, because, like, all those bands basically at that time were like, we gotta get up on Twilight, besides My Chemical Romance, even though Stephanie was like, please, God, and they're like, fine, I guess. But everyone else is like, I gotta get in there, let me in there. And Motion City Soundtrack was one of them, and they did this song called Crooked Ways, and it was to Edward POV, I guess. And so she was like, no, not this time. But look who's back. Your time will come in fucking 12 years. It's gonna be your time, baby.
I hate it. So, Chris, I think last year, I'm pretty sure it was last year, but Motion City Soundtrack came to Seattle, and Chris saw them.
Wait, last year he saw them?
Yes. I'm pretty sure. I might be completely slandering him right now.
Sure.
But the last time that he saw Motion City Soundtrack in concert, and I know that it was recently, because I swear to God that he went to see them, he said that Motion City Soundtrack, during their set, had said that they had, like, signed with a vampire, or, like, not even a vampire, but they had signed with a YA novel, and they had played some of that music at the concert he was at. And so when he saw this, he was like, wait, what the fuck? Like, this is what you were talking about?
They were dropping exclusive content. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I will need to confirm that with my one source here, but I do know that that existed at some point, and that is buck wild to me.
I love that. I love that.
Speaking of buck wild things, Stephenie Meyer. So Stephenie Meyer,
yes, she's still here.
Was interviewed by the New York Times, of course, since Midnight Sun came out. And I don't want to go through all of the interview questions that she got, but one of them in particular really is haunting me. They had asked, like, so why now, Stephenie? Why did you publish this now? And honest to God, the first thing that Stephenie Meyer said was, because I finished it. Ma'am? Hello?
Haunting.
Like, are you what? Are you kidding me? Out of all this time, I swear to God, and we will confirm this as we start reading it, this feels like she wrote it in 2008.
Absolutely.
I don't believe that for a second.
No.
Anyways, it just... Why? I have questions. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm happy that it's out now. We have new content. It's like, relevant. But also, Stephenie, don't look at a journalist and just flat out lie like that, please.
Right. How dare you? Have some integrity.
For real, though.
I do love, too, that she gets asked if she plans to rewrite the entire series from Edward's POV, and she is like, absolutely no fucking way. Like, don't even think about it.
And that's, okay, so we'll just, like, get into it.
Sure.
Because that feels like a fucking lie to me.
It does.
Because...
I don't think... I think she will probably inevitably end up doing it. Because there's a lot of financial incentives. There's a lot of incentives, right? There's a lot of things that she could cash in on that. I do think that it does feel real that she hates writing this in some part of her, and like there is this very weird, and also which we'll get into with the analysis. Like, this is a very anxious book.
Oh, absolutely.
The very anxious
it's
POV.
Edward, right? He's a Gemini. He's a blushing bride. He's a virgin.
And she's been talking about, from all this like press leading up to the release, being like, I don't like being in Edward's head because he's a fucking like ridiculous person, and like it makes me anxious, and I'm anxious or whatever. So I totally get why she would maybe not want to. I think that she will inevitably do it, though.
No one can convince me, and I have no truth to this other than just my personal viewing, but you cannot convince me that when she decided to email her literary agent and her publishing team and was like, hey, so I'm going to just release this now, that they did not sign her up for a 4-book contract. Because one of the things that we had talked about was, like, and one of the predictions I wholeheartedly thought was that the reason why this was double the amount of Twilight was because she was going to go into the other books.
Right.
And she doesn't.
No.
So, and I am convinced that there's no reason other than the fact that she doesn't like doing it. But it is such a financial gain for them to put these out. I mean, I assume that they would look at what E.L. James did, because E.L. James saw that leaked version 12 years ago and was like, oh, hell yeah, I'll just do that too. And those have worked out financially for her team. So why would she not put out the original source material? Yeah. I have questions. Stephenie, don't be a liar, is all I have to tell you. I feel it in my bones, and it's unfortunate, because I don't want to feel anything in my bones about Stephenie Meyer anymore. But I have to. Yeah. Can we, for a real quick detour, talk about Stevie Nicks, just like really quickly?
Just like a real quick check-in on Miss Stevie Nicks.
Has anyone checked in with her? Like, did Stephenie Meyer send her an early copy of this so she can get started on new music? I just need to know.
Like, is she okay? Like, has she been conjured? Has she been summoned?
Did someone send a dove to her house with this
Has
copy?
anyone seen Stevie Nicks lately?
Is Stevie Nicks just in the Olympic Peninsula? Can I see Stevie Nicks from my apartment right now? Is she just in the forest, just like living?
Yeah, she's living in a tree, writing some songs.
Well, I hope that a little wood nymph drops this book off to her, because if it inspired her, if the previous books inspired her to make music, Lord knows that this Anxious book will.
Yeah, oh my god. I'm sure we're gonna get an album. Just a full and Twilight.
Honestly, I would hope so. Like, that would make my entire day. But also, what an affront to number one superfan Stevie Nicks to not have one of her songs on this Midnight Sun playlist. The nerve.
The disrespect.
Interesting.
Huh.
Why do we have to pit women against each other? You know? Why?
Yeah. Two queens against each other.
God. The last bit of current event news is an affront to me, and me personally.
Sure.
We talked about, I don't remember if it was last episode, but 2 episodes I'm pretty sure, we talked about an update on the book tour. So the Olympian, and the author of this too, Molly Gilmore, was talking about, like, obviously this book tour that's going to be happening, because one of those is here in Washington. And I falsely assumed that she was doing this in Washington because, hi, this is where these books are.
Sure. Like, one could safely make that assumption, you know?
And that is there, for sure. Like, that exists. But also, I find out from Molly Gilmore that one of the other reasons is that Stephenie Meyer has a home here in Washington. And so she chose that because it fits for the setting, but also so that she doesn't have to do, like, air travel right now.
Sure.
Ma'am, where do you live? Just turn your ad on, I swear to God. Why?
Oh my God.
I thought you were all like, brown is my favorite color. It's the energy of me. Like, hello, what are you doing here?
If you could airdrop one thing to Stephenie Meyer from your home.
Oh my God.
What would it be?
Since apparently our Xbox capabilities is able to span miles to plug into other people's.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic question.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that you asked this. I feel like the only option is one of my personal favorite memes, and it is a close-up of Ronald McDonald. And on this close-up, in yellow Comic Sans, it says, "Just about McFucking had it."
Oh, no. Yeah, that's a mood.
And I feel like those really speak volumes for my relationship with this woman who will not let me die.
Yeah, she won't let you die, and she won't let you live.
No. It's just, what the fuck? Now, what would you send, Ms. Meyer?
Oh my God, I don't know. I didn't think of an answer to my own question.
You asked it.
I know, but you live there.
That's true.
It's a hypothetical that you could apply to your life. I feel like, inspired by last week's episode, I would send a photo of Sprinkle the Sparkly Penguin and be like, is this Edward, yes or no? Does this give off Edward vibes? Was this your inspiration?
Alternate, that is same feeling but a different vibe.
Sure.
I would send her that Six Flags commercial of the old man dancing.
Yes, absolutely.
That feels like her right now, just watching us all flounder. So that's where I'm at. I just want to know where she lives, and not to, like, do anything, but just so that I can stay away. You know?
Right, sure.
I just have so many thoughts. Do you know who also has a lot of thoughts? Our fantastic patrons.
Boing, boing, boing.
They have some questions for us. Would you like to read our first question?
Absolutely. This is from Katie,
Hello.
who asks, did you also vividly remember the part of Partial Draft where the middle-aged receptionist is so horny for Edward, who she believes is 16, and has to continually remind herself that he's too young? Because I did, and was just as shocked it made the final cut.
Okay, and I know that we'll get into this in, like, a couple of minutes, but the amount, it surprised me so much that in these first 2 chapters, they are almost word for word from that Partial Draft. Yeah. And the fact that this part was included, haunting. Hate it.
Truly, like, no one just, like, gave it a glance and was like, hey,
Maybe
this,
not
though?
that.
Maybe not this one, you know?
Especially when, like...
We got 650 other pages of stuff in here. I don't think we need this one, you know?
Yeah.
Like, this one? Do we need it?
Stephanie!
Can we spare this one?
I hate the idea that she assumes this woman, this older woman, would not be able to do her job.
Sure.
First of all. Second of all, the idea that she would look like, is Stephanie unaware of how often power dynamics are used in a school environment, that she decided, like, oh yeah, no, like, I'm like totally for the Me Too movement, but I'm gonna keep this in here. What? Stephanie? A 16-year, I mean, he's not 16, but like, he looks 17, so knock it off. I hate that. We have a question here from Erin. Thank you, Erin. Who says, she said, I just glitched for a second. Erin says, I'm just about to crack this book open, and I'm both terrified and excited. Some of my favorite bits of the Twilight Saga came from the moments where the Cullens were just hanging out and being a silly vampire family. You know, a silly vampire family?
Just like a silly little vampire
Just
family.
like a silly, quirky little family. And Erin asks, are you both hoping for any moments like this? What deep Cullen family lore, if any, do you think that we'll get from this? So, my initial answer to the first question is obviously yes. I do love this quirky little family that they have.
Yes. It's very cute. I do like their dynamics, totally.
Me too. And I think that it is, just from what I've seen so far, it is nice to be able to see and just learn more about the family.
Yeah.
Because as we talked about for years when we were going over the initial 5.5 books, is that the side characters are way more intriguing than our main characters. And so to get more backstory on Carlisle and Esme and Alex and Jasper and Emmett and Rosalie, I think is way more intriguing than what we can assume is happening in Edward's brain.
Right. 100%.
Yes. And then we have some commentary from Nikki here, but I think that it would do us justice to talk about it while we're
totally
in the chapters. So initial thoughts from you about getting this tome in your hands.
this heavy ass tome
that we had sent to us.
Right.
Should be
First
noted.
of all, for the record, may or may not have gotten special copies. not special as in there's anything different about them, but the fact that we did not pay for them. That is it. That's it.
We did not pay for them.
We did not pay for them. We're not getting paid at all.
If anyone thinks that Stephanie's team would hear this information, one, I don't want to talk about that.
Right.
But second of all, that they would listen to this and be like, you know what? Actually, this does support our brand.
We will sponsor this.
Now, I have said this so many times that I can be bought, and I can.
Yes.
We're not in this context.
I don't think we're gonna make the cut.
I didn't sign shit.
No. But we got them in the mail, and that was very fun. We also got the press release for this.
We did get the press release.
Which is very fun. It's weird. It's weird to be back in the saddle. It's weird to be back in their head. I will say, I don't remember much of OG Draft from back in the day, because it's been a hot minute and I didn't revisit it because I'm bad at my job.
I have it linked in our
I know you are like in it.
I have been doing side by side
literally I was like, I'm watching you just like read them both at the same time, line by line, just like but it doesn't feel starkingly different from what I remember. And also it feels so much not like a book. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like the first... I think this is mostly a problem with the first chapter, but the way this book is set up with Edward's perspective it is so monologue-y to a weird extent. Like,
Yes.
I checked, the first time he talks to a person out loud is page 18.
Hey, folks, welcome to Edward's brain.
There are 18 pages where Edward is just in his brain. And he, like, talks maybe once or twice to Alice in that time. But the majority of that is just him observing things and not interacting with anyone.
Nope.
Bella is very monologue-y, totally. But she's also
she's a Virgo.
talking to people because she's a person. And she
Right.
talks to...
Yeah, and she cannot read people's minds.
Once he's actually talking to people, it feels better, like, flow-wise, but, like, the first 20 fucking pages are like, where the fuck what is happening? This is Exposition City. I know all this. We all know this.
I agree. And the thing that fucked me up the most about that, too, is that this is not a quick read.
No.
Let's just say that.
She's a
first of
dense
all.
read.
But I agree. I think that I fully expected, like, it's Edward. We're going to have a lot of inner conflict and a lot of inner monologue here because he's a Gemini, but also he hates himself, like most Geminis.
Right.
However, I think for me, what surprised me the most about these first 2 chapters is that they are the same
Yeah.
as Partial Draft 4. And that is unnerving to me, that it has been over a decade since this leaked, and she was like, yeah, fuck it. I know they've already read these first 2 chapters. Screw them.
Yeah. Fit to print.
Like, and no one in her literary team was like, hey, Steph, so glad that you wrote these.
Yeah.
Just a few minor notes for you.
Right.
Could you not instead?
Full hard believe, and I've said this before, I don't think either she doesn't have any fucking editors or nobody is willing to challenge her on anything because she is so powerful.
I agree. I don't know that people are able to say no to her, and that is worse.
Like,
somehow.
there is no way. Can you imagine being or fresh-faced editorial assistant at Little Brown and being like, hey, Stephenie Meyer, I have some notes. I have a couple notes. I have some questions. If you could just, like, get back to me on that. If you could just, like, I don't know, like, just, like, a couple, like, just, like, consistency questions or, like, maybe grammatical questions or just, like, you know, just something I you know, as a reader,
Right.
maybe you could look at, you know. And also, it's been, like, a long time. It's been, like, a decade, you know, something you might want to revisit. Could you imagine saying those words? I would shit my pants. I couldn't do it. I would just be like, nope, this is good. This is good. Just let it go.
See, I have no fear to do
Sure,
that.
that's true.
Because I don't know that in the moment Stephenie would do anything. I know that she would do something afterwards.
Oh, sure. Yes, absolutely.
I have to hope that there is a literary assistant that she has somewhere. Maybe just as scared. And that's fair. But if I was that literary agent, I would have been like, hey, Stephenie, so glad that you got these in just a couple notes. Could you Control F on your document and see how many times you said mummered? And just not
Yeah.
instead.
I would say if there's more than one, too many.
I agree.
Knock it out.
And yet we continue, you know?
Yeah.
What I will say is that one of the things that's been very helpful for me during this reading process is a annotated table of contents that someone on Twitter posted. It's on our Twitter account, but it's from Twilight_phase. And one of the things they did that I found very helpful, and it might be helpful for those of you that are reading this too, is what they did is they looked at all of the chapters that are in Midnight Sun, compared them to Twilight so that you were able to see side by side, like, what was the accompanying chapter name from Twilight, marked which ones were the same, and then also showed which ones were new that did not exist in that.
Yeah.
I find it very helpful, and
Just the
so hopefully
investigative
some of you-
work here. Immaculate.
Yes. And to do it in pen, too.
The replies to this tweet are so funny because they're all just like, you wrote in it? Like,
How dare you write in this book?
you defaced our precious holy book.
I find it helpful, but it didn't surprise me at all to find out that these first two chapters were nearly the exact same.
Right.
As when we read them a couple years ago. However, I do think that it's necessary to look at them. It would be an injustice if we just skipped over these. So, the first chapter, First Sight, and the second chapter of our open book, both of which have the same names in Twilight.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't say... Like, one, I can't say I was surprised because I've read these chapters in Midnight Sun several times. But it's just so long is the thing that really got to me.
Yeah.
They are very long. It was, I think, what took me by surprise throughout most of this. One is the fact that there was just a lack of dialogue, which I assumed because it's Edward, but also just right off the bat, him just being like, fuck this place, fuck everything around.
Yeah. I got no friends.
Really
I'm not like other guys.
I'm different, actually. Yeah. Just really caught me off guard.
I like Linkin Park and no one else.
And no one else, just Linkin Park. Were there any parts of this first chapter that caught you by surprise or interested you?
I feel like that whole first scene with the science lab or whatever,
Absolutely.
that whole moment felt like way longer here. Because he's
I agree.
fully having a panic attack. And, like, I do agree with Stephanie that this is a very anxious boy. Very anxious boy.
Just overthinking everything.
Truly,
at all
like,
times.
It's honestly kind of, like, wild as a reader, being like, is this actually happening? Or is he just really psyching himself out and creating really weird universes in which something happens and then, like, snaps back? It's, like, very jarring. Because he'll just be like, as soon as, like, that waft of fucking strawberry shampoo comes in, he's like, wee, I gotta get out of here. Mayday, this is so bad. Oh, no. And he's like, I'm thinking my whole life, I gotta kill her, or I gotta go. I gotta get... Meanwhile, like, 2 seconds of time has happened, and she's like, what? Can I...
She's, like, still tripping.
Right.
Onto the desk.
She hasn't even made it to her chair. And
he's like, here are 6 ways that I can rip this woman's jugular out of her throat.
Right.
I can kill all these people.
Right. It's like, could I get away with killing her, get a couple seconds to, like, kill everyone else, or book it and make sure nobody even knew I was here? And it's like, I mean, she's still just, like, slowly, in slow motion, just walking to the chair. Like,
exactly.
It's like 20 pages of that. It's like, what?
Yes, I agree. Most of this is the exact same from Partial Draft 4.
Yeah.
Like, we get the scene of them sitting in the cafeteria, him looking, like, glaring, really, at Bella, not being able to hear her voice. You know, Emmett, as he did in the movie, he doesn't actually have this in here, but Emmett has this fucking bag of eggs that he's not eating.
It's so haunting.
It's all I can think about.
Yeah.
After seeing that confirmed, and, like, I remembered it, but nothing too much, and just now knowing that, like, this boy had half a dozen fucking hard-boiled eggs just in a bag.
Just at the ready.
And he wasn't even, like, eating them. He was just touching them, caressing the hard-boiled eggs.
There's never been a more concrete example of the Mandela effect at work than that fucking image.
I agree.
It's like, did we all just forget, or are we in a different universe? Something happened across the streams. There's no way.
What I will say is there are quite a few reasons why I like returning back to Edward's side of things. Mm-hmm. One is, yes, he's an incredibly anxious boy, but he is very clear throughout all of this of, like, I should not be doing this. This is wrong. And that helps. Like, it makes it a little bit easier to know that, like, he, out of all of the people in the world that hate Edward Cullen, he is at the top of that list.
Yes, number 1.
And later on, it does get a little bit easier because Edward and I have a lot of things in common. 2 of which are, we're both Geminis and we both hate Mike Newton so much.
Yeah.
And it is just nice to get back into that head.
Right. No, that's fair. Solidarity,
It's just helpful, that someone understands. Like, Edward Cullen is #1 fan of the Fuck Mike Newton Club, and it just is helpful for me to be in that headspace. There's just not a lot different about this one. Like,
yeah.
And I think that was the main thing that while I was reading this just shocked me, is that this chapter had no notes and just went straight forward into publishing.
Yeah.
What I will say is that during all of these scenes of Edward visualizing how he's going to kill Bella and all of her classmates in this science class, and this will be a recurring thing in this book, is that Edward's main grounding technique before he falls in love with Bella is that Carlisle is that grounding for him.
Ugh.
And
same.
If I have never related more.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. He's a calming presence,
He is.
I feel held by him.
I think there's a lot of people that want to or do feel held by Carlisle Cullen.
Sure.
The other thing that I loved about this scene, loved is a big word, is the amount that Edward is just looking at Bella, but like side-eyeing her, being like, fuck you, I can't believe this, I was already like having a really bad day, I don't like this school, and just like absolutely projecting all of this stuff onto her.
Right.
Whereas Bella, if y'all remember from the first chapter of Twilight, like, does not want to be there.
Yeah.
Does not like everyone talking to her.
Yeah, hates all the attention.
Right. And now she's got someone who is incapable of not giving her attention. You hate it.
Yeah.
There is a lot of glaring and a lot of blushing in this. And in both of these chapters, we get 2 unnamed CDs. So after the bio moment, Edward leaves, he skips his Spanish class, and he goes into his car to play a CD that he says usually calms him.
Why?
No mention.
Why are we letting that slide? Why are we not... Let's get specific, Steph.
Listen, we're not letting it slide.
Let's get specific, Steph. Because, like, you're not shy about this. You've made it very clear what music you're into. And
just name it.
What? Name just, like, drop Stephanie. It. Come on. Just don't be shy. Just,
like, what calms Edward down? Is it piano, like most of us assume?
Sure.
Is it just dolphins yelling? Like, what is it?
It's just pure ocean sounds. It's like whale songs.
Just some real homey shit.
God. And like this happens later too, where he like gets in the car again and is like huffing and puffing, and he's like, I'm gonna put on like, I don't know if it was like angry music or like aggressive music or something. Yeah, it was angry music. It's like, just you can say.
Just say it.
Just say it. It's okay. It's okay. You're gonna get sued now? When you're at your most powerful?
Right.
What do you got to lose? Who are you afraid of? No one.
Here's my thought. Maybe in both of those cases, a CD that calmed him and an angry CD were both My Chemical Romance. And the only group of people that Stephanie is afraid of is MCR.
Right, it's true.
So maybe that's what needed to happen. As with the first chapter, last time he goes in, tries to change his class, can't do it because it's March. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell. Like, you can't just do that. And, of course, Bella was there just like it did before. He's all pissy about it, goes into his car with all of his family there, and Alice is trying to reassure him, like, it'll be fine.
Right.
Please don't kill Bella. The only person that she has here is Charlie. It will break him apart. And he's like, I guess, fine. So that's great. Chapter 2 is I think is where it actually starts to get good here. Finally, after 30 pages.
It's about time.
And that's mainly because Edward is being a bitch baby. He runs off to Alaska. And we get some Tanya in the situation. Bless her heart.
Right. She's back. She's here.
And she's just, listen, she is in the snow, doing cannonballs, trying to get Edward to relax for one moment. And he's like, Tanya, this is serious business. I can't believe you.
Don't you think about my feelings?
Stop trying to fuck me, Tanya. I'm going through this right now.
I know you're super hot and ethereal and, like, we have history, but also, like, I can't stop thinking about this fucking human girl, man. I can't. Leave me alone.
So, Edward, being his typical emo self, is just, has his chin to his knees, holding those knees in a pile of snow in the dark in Alaska. Like, where's Bella's like, damn, I wonder where that guy went. He really did hate me, huh?
Yeah. It's like, was he sick or something? He's kind of gone for a couple days. Meanwhile, he's having a full breakdown in Alaska.
I'm like, Jesus Christ, Edward.
Could you imagine if you just had that, like, in your roster to just, like, go and have a place to just scream, you know? And, like,
what
deal
I would
with your
fucking
shit.
give, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's, honestly, I envy it.
And he doesn't even, like, scream in this. He's just, like, crying softly.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Vampires can't cry, but, like, if he could cry, he would be just crying into the snow. And you're not utilizing this scream place effectively, Edward Cullen.
Come on.
We could do it better, you know?
Yeah, and invite us in next time. We'll do a scream.
Give me one chance to disassociate in the Alaskan snow. One time.
Yeah.
I'll show you what it's done.
I'll show you what pure peace could be like, if you want it.
If you want to see a breakdown, Edward Cullen, I'll show you a breakdown. I'm not scared. But eventually, like, after 6 days, he finally goes back to school because he just, like, really cares about his grades.
Yeah.
And this is when a lot of, I mean, as usual, like, Rosalie at this point is like, I don't see what the point is. You're overreacting. Emmett doesn't care. He's still got his eggs. Jasper only cares because Alice cares. But he finally goes back to school into their bio class that they share together. Mm-hmm. And this is the part where he actually starts to talk to Bella for the first time. Because if y'all remember, it's the golden onion scene.
Ugh. Bless her heart.
And what amazes me about this is, again, one, how similar it is. And he's trying not to, like, focus on killing her because he's like, well, Carlisle would disapprove of that. He won't tell me he's disappointed, but he'll feel it, and that's the same thing. But then they end up talking. And I feel like this conversation, more than most, has been discussed quite often. I think that there are some benefits to being able to see it from his side, mainly just how much he's trying to, like, keep it together, not break his lab table like he did last time.
Trying not to get a goddamn hole in the wall.
He's just, that man loves to break wood.
Listen.
And that's not effective for anyone.
Not a great coping strategy, Edward, my dude.
It isn't. It's not a great coping strategy, but also, Edward, you're in a public school in a small town.
Yeah.
You're not going to be the one to clean this up, but you're also not going to be the one to replace this table, sir.
It's true.
So, just respect your 80-year-old lab tables that you're bringing with here. They're fragile.
Yeah. But they get the job done.
They do get the job done. What also gets the job done is how much tension is between Bella and Edward during this scene, this lab that they are in. And how much he is just absolutely shocked when she's like, I need to look over your slides because I don't think that you're doing this right. And I appreciate that a lot, that Bella was very confident her Virgo self just needed to get it done effectively.
Yeah.
She just wants to have a good impression here, and he's not focusing on anything. I'm trying to think if there was anything else in that chapter that really surprised me. We get the contacts conversation.
Yes.
Which Bella, astute as always.
Just the fact that he's so shocked that she just pays attention to things.
Just to anything.
Like,
is unreal.
Hey, bud, how low is your bar? Because that's, are you good? Like, are you okay?
And I understand that he's used to humans not making eye contact with him or his family because they are naturally afraid. And they don't understand
understand me. It's so hard to be a vampire.
But I feel the bar is very low here for Bella, that a week ago she noticed his eyes were literally black.
Right. Yeah.
And now he comes back after 6 days and they are a golden brown.
Yeah.
Listen, Bella is astute.
Right.
However,
but also that's a pretty easy observation to make. Exactly. Especially if the most of your interactions have been making direct eye contact and constant eye contact.
Exactly.
Like, come on, bud.
And so after this, he's like, fuck this. I can't be around her anymore. And so he goes, and that's when he sits in his car and plays his, quote, CD of violent music. Which, whatever, Edward, I'm so over you.
Yeah.
And the chapter ends with Bella going out to her car, almost hitting one of her other classmates, and Edward cackling over it. Because how dare she think that she's in a car that's strong.
Yeah.
Great.
Love it.
Edward. He also mentions in a lot of this, especially in chapter 2, of like, there's like an angel and a devil on my shoulder and I just don't know what to do. I'm excited to be discussing chapters that we have not already.
Right. Some fresh
maybe some new
content.
stuff.
Ooh. Interesting.
Some of that new shit.
Yeah.
I think this would be a good time to talk about Mickey's comment to us.
Absolutely.
Would you like to read that?
Yes, I would. Okay. Mickey says, Edward is just as broody as I expected him to be, but these are my highlights so far. 1. Edward blasting angsty music in his car anytime he gets stressed. 2.
Yep.
Edward running away. Edward running away and hiding in his car. 3. Tanya's snow cannonball? Question mark. 4. Edward being buried in snow after said cannonball. 5. Emma being a supportive bro, saying, just do it to Edward wanting to kill Bella. 6. Edward describing Bella's face as better than being beautiful. Her face was unexpected. What does that mean? He doesn't say what's unexpected about it. And 7. The car crash was a lot funnier from Edward's perspective. Him being like, what the fuck, this man keeps wrapping around and trying to hit Bella, even though I'm swinging. Even though I'm swinging her around trying to dodge the damn thing. Oh my God.
I cannot wait to... I know that the car crash was in Partial Draft 4.
Yeah.
I'm just very excited to get to that because I do remember that from the Partial Draft, him being like, I keep throwing this woman around and yet the van keeps coming. What the fuck?
Yeah, what's going on? I do think I was going to bring up that comment about him being like, oh yeah, she's not like beautiful, but like she's unexpected.
What the fuck?
It's so strange, and like he's hearing everyone's thoughts, and everyone's obviously talking about Bella because there's nothing else to talk about in Forks High School. They're just like, who the fuck is this person? And then Jessica's obviously like, why does everyone think she's so fucking hot? And then everyone's like, she's so fucking hot, and Edward's just like, I mean, like, listen, beautiful? I don't know about that. Unexpected beauty? And then just, like, lists a bunch of random attributes as, like, her face is wide and she's got big eyes. And, like it's so weird. It's, like, you can tell he's trying to be nice, but it's not nice. It's just, like, weird observations being like, you're not classically and traditionally beautiful, like we are conditioned to believe what beauty is, but the way I will describe your beauty is not at all complimentary at any capacity, regardless of that. It's like, what? Hello?
And if I remember correctly from Partial Draft 4, which I have read an obscene amount of times, is that just mere chapters on, he explains to her, like, oh no, I could never be attracted to Rosalie. Yeah, she's like conventionally beautiful, but you're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my whole life. And it's like, bitch, you just said.
Come on.
You just said that she was unexpected. lean
Yeah.
into that. If she's not like other girls,
Yeah.
like, what are you talking about?
Oh my god, speaking of Rosalie, one of the better parts, but also very sad parts from the beginning, was that he literally said that Rosalie and Emmett were just head empty. Like, with his whole chest, he said that. He was like, yeah, Rosalie could be beautiful, but she's literally thinking about nothing, ever. There's nothing going on in her brain. And Emmett, too, they're just dumb as rocks. It's like, hey, Edward, we're on page, 5 of this. What the fuck, dude?
Why do you say that you love your family, but you hate them?
This is how we're introducing your loving, dear family that you say you love. It's like, yeah, nothing going on in there.
I hated that so much. So it's on page 9, and it says, quote, if Rosalie's mind was a stagnant pool, then Emmett's was a lake with no shadows, glass clear.
It's such a sick burn.
That is the 2005 version of Head Empty, No
Seriously,
Thoughts, Brain Smooth.
She prophesized that, oh my god, no thoughts, smooth brain. Just a lake. A lake with no reflection.
What I would give to be an immortal, to be able to think and hold 17 different things in my head at once, and choosing with my whole heart to having a blank slate in there. God, I pay so much money, and I take so many pills to just have head empty, no thoughts, and Rosalie and Emmett are able to do it with zero effort.
Oh god, the dream. God, I wish that were
really
me.
Is. I just want to sit. I want to be buried under snow, head empty, no thoughts. Is that so hard? Apparently. The answer is apparently.
Yeah.
So, next week, we get into chapters 3 and 4.
Fuck yeah.
Which are risks and visions. And one of those is a new chapter.
Whoa.
So, we'll have that new. To talk about, and not just rehashing the same things that we've talked about for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
This book. So, we have an amazing selection of patrons.
Fuck yeah, we do.
And it feels only appropriate to circle back on the Midnight Sun playlist.
Our dear friend.
And our dear friend and dear foe, the Midnight Sun playlist. And give you one of these songs from here. Would you like to start, Cody?
Absolutely. Shout out to Carrie Goldberg, who's gonna be Down in It by Nine Inch Nails.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mickey Meyer,
Boing, 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 boing.
who is going to be the Didgeridoo by the Aphex Twin.
Hello.
Because what the fuck is a didgeridoo anyways?
It's a great question. No one really can know. Shout out to Maggie Quinn,
Pew, 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 pew.
who's gonna be Crooked Ways by Motion City Soundtrack.
Wow.
Yeah.
You get the new.
That new, hot off the presses.
Alright, shout out to Katie Weber,
Boing, boing, boing.
who's going to be Ocean of Noise by Arcade Fire.
Nice. Shout out to Zoe Steele,
Pew, pew, pew.
who's gonna be How to Disappear Completely by Radiohead.
Okay, bye. Shout out to Rebecca Cullen,
Boing, 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 boing.
who is going to be Not the One by Collective Soul.
Nice. Shout out to Elizabeth Swan, who's gonna be maybe my favorite title out of all of these.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are floating in space.
I love it.
By Spiritualized.
Shout out to Amy Taylor,
Boing, boing, boing.
who is going to be First Day of My Life by Bright Eyes.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
Little on the nose, Stephanie.
Sure, maybe a bit too much.
But I expect.
But we don't know her for subtlety, so. Shout out to Mulch Gray. Mulch. Who's gonna be Ice Dance by Danny Elfman.
Jesus Christ.
The man put a full-ass score in here. Just
from the Edward Scissorhands score, like, Stephanie, we get it.
Read the room.
We get it.
Can we, come on.
I had an amazing thought right now.
Yes.
That one of these times we should read the patrons out in auto-tune, because I feel like that would be funny.
Oh, that'd be very fun.
I don't even know how to do auto-tune.
We'd figure it out.
Yeah. Shout out to Taylor Brown Town Lautner.
Okay.
Who's going to be the titular Clair de Lune by Debussy.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
I didn't realize until I was actually looking at this, but Debussy, I'm sorry to say, has bussy in his name.
Literally, every time I see it on a playlist, I'm like, Debussy.
He's got, his name is of bussy? What?
I have brain worms. My brain is rotting. I
just want to head empty, please God.
I want to have empty. I got too many thoughts and they're all poison. It's all bussy. I can't do it.
It's all bussy. Oops, all bussy.
No. Oops, all bussy. Oh no, I hate it. Oh God, Kelly Beck.
Sorry, Kelly.
Sorry for just a horrible intro. But you're gonna be Demons by Dry the River.
Shout out to Aaron Salinger. Who's going to be... I mean, we gotta do it. You're Turning Page by Sleeping at Last.
I gotta do it
Congrats.
to him. Gotta do it to him.
Congrats.
Shout out to Sophia Salinger.
Pew, 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 pew.
Who's gonna be Map the Problematique by Muse.
Wow.
Baby.
Wow. Shout out to Sophia Salinger.
Boing, boing, boing.
Who's going to be... I don't think you've done this one. You might have Blood Hands by Royal Blood.
I don't think I have.
Just a lot of blood.
Blood.
Oops, all blood.
Oops, all blood. Shout out Dana Kavanaugh.
Wow.
Who's gonna be...
Thank you, Donna.
Who's gonna be Pledging My Love by Johnny
Wow.
Ace and Johnny Otis.
Well,
wow.
What a playlist, you know what I mean?
What, hit after hit, you know?
So, I have a fan fiction for you today. Before I can start it, though, could you choose 4 numbers for me between 1 and 101?
Oh my god, we love a game.
It's game time, Beach.
Yeah. 9, 27, 75,
Okay.
99.
Okay. So I now have those 4 numbers for you. The fanfiction I'm going to read today is 101 Things the Cullens Are Not Allowed to Do.
Oh, very good.
And this is by EF0818 Hale Cullen.
Fantastic.
And it was published in late July of 2009. So this is a list of things the Cullen kids and Jacob can't do. It's funny, or so I think.
Oh boy.
So, number 9 off of this list is, it is absolutely forbidden to say Carlisle as Sherlock Holmes. Number 27 on this list is... I'm so glad you chose this one. Number 27. Calling the author of Interview with a Vampire and saying that vampires don't have fangs is rude. Number 75 is... Write a letter to the Volturi telling Heidi that Rosalie is prettier than her, even though it's true.
Very good.
Last but not least, of things that the Cullens cannot do is don't... And this one's a little on the nose, folks. Don't name Edward's Aston Martin the Batmobile just because it's black.
Oh my god.
Prophesized from 2009. We will be back next week to talk about new shit for once.
Fuck yeah.
Very excited.
So excited.
But as we say here in the Olympic Peninsula...
Get bit.
Get whipped.
Woo!
Woo!
Into the Twilight is an Earbud Media production. Our theme music is by Eli Krause, and our artwork is by Maddie Padilla. Follow the show on Twitter at Into the Twilight, and support us on Patreon at patreon.com/intothetwilight. Send us an email or a fanfiction at intothetwilightshow@gmail.com. You can find Allie at Into Wild Places and me at Cody Crow.
You've been listening to Earbud Media Production. Earbud Media, audio for everyone.